I'll just put like a skip to 5 minutes in kind of a thing. Ugh. Okay, so I think we'll just get started then.
Da-da-da.
So eventful. Okay.
Okay, so we're all here. Anyway, for those of you who made it over to this YouTube thing, welcome. Tonight I am joined by Cassie Anderson and Eva Andrews, better known as Miss Covered in Paint on YouTube. We were all classmates together at Savannah College of Art and Design, and we majored in sequential art, which is just a fancy phrase for comics and storyboarding, which is what we'll talk about tonight, because I think we all have a very different approach to how we do visual storytelling, and there are pros and cons to each. There are things I know that I like better about comics and storyboarding, but quite oppositely, I know that you guys, well, especially Eva, you're just like storyboards all the way, not so much comics, but we all do a little bit of each, so we will talk about it in this stream that finally kind of worked. So embarrassed.
You did good.
Thanks, I'm trying. The next one will go smoothly. Whatever. Anyway, so I guess I'll direct the first question to Cassie, because I think we're in the same boat with this kind of situation anyway. So when you applied to SCAD and first started going there, did you originally want to be an animator, or did you want to major in sequential art right off the bat?
Well, I think when I was looking at classes at SCAD, I originally wanted to be an animator, but when I saw they offered storyboarding, I think that was probably the moment I was like, oh, that's more of what I want to do, not the hardcore, like, making stuff move, but just drawing lots of pictures about stuff happening. Yeah, and then I got to SCAD and started taking classes, and I didn't really know much about comics, and it was pretty embarrassing at first, but since then, I've really fallen in love with the medium, and I really love making comics a lot. And I still love storyboards, but I don't know, it's taken kind of like the back seat right now.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Eva? Did you, because you came not as a freshman with us, but you came later, so did you, unlike us, do a little more research into the program and know that you needed to major in sequential art, or did you also want to do animation?
Yeah, I did some research. I transferred in, but I knew I wanted to go to SCAD since high school. So I just remember having the 2007 catalog and looking through it. I had to do a research project on what college I want to go to as a sophomore. And I found, my friend had sent me the catalog, and I was like, yeah, I'm an artist. I should do art school. It'd be cool. And I was just looking through all the majors, and I can't say I really knew what storyboarding was. I'd heard about it once in Monsters, Inc. Extended feature behind the scenes thing. They'd once referenced it and said, this is storyboarding, and then left. And I remember looking through and being like, sequential art, storyboarding, that's what I want to do. That's going to be my major. And that's pretty much just how it went down, is I wanted to do storyboarding. I didn't really realize it would be comic-based, or so heavily comic-based, which is kind of funny. But it was definitely what I wanted to do when, the whole time, since that moment. Yeah. And I wanted to do it because of the story elements. I love writing the story, but I also like acting in the story and designing the characters of the story and being a part of the story. I want to do everything, and I feel like storyboarding and comics really does let you be the writer, the actor, and the editor of everything.
And that's really the main reason that I like comics so much, is because you get all of that control and you can do everything, and it can be all in one. And with animation, just you being the one person that does the specific little portion of it, and then you have to rely on a bunch of other people. I hate group projects. I hated it all throughout school. So I think that's also my bad attitude of I just want to work by myself, so comics all the way. Even though that has a pipeline too sometimes. I mean, you can either do everything independently as a creator, or I know we've all done some color work for people too, so breaking it down between somebody does the pencils, somebody does the ink, somebody does the color. I always like to do color for somebody else because I feel like that takes the least amount of creativity. It's just mindless click, 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 click. I mean, it takes forever if it's a bunch of little pieces and explosions, but It's kind of therapeutic. It's like adult coloring books.
Yeah. Good for you.
So, but with SCAD, do you think that there were, in the sequential art major, do you think there were like an adequate amount of storyboarding classes? Because most of them focus on comics and they had a few, but do you think it covers them equally, or could there have been more? What did you think of the classes?
Go ahead, Eva.
Oh, okay. No, I don't think there was enough storyboarding classes. I did like the ones that were offered, but I did have to take several like animation classes to feel like I really had a grip on storyboarding for animation. And I feel like I could have even stayed longer and taken more classes in animation to really feel solid in drawing for animation. And most of that had to do with gesture drawing and screen design and more technical aspects. But I do think the advanced storyboarding class and the beginning storyboarding class were great, and I really enjoyed them. And as a sequential major, like I wouldn't have switched over to animation, but as a sequential major, I feel like you really do have to like minor in storyboarding if you want to do storyboarding and like understand it.
How many classes are in the storyboarding minor? I don't remember.
Well, most of them parallel with sequentials, so I didn't really pay attention to the ones that I was already like taking. But you've got your principles of screen design and a script writing and another writing class. I forget what it was. And then I think that was it. And then the rest are sequential classes. So for an animation major who wants to like do storyboarding, but they're an animator, they have to take a lot of like sequential classes that they're not going to get. But as a sequential major, you pretty much got it all like in the sequential department. You just are missing like screen design and the scripting class because that's like a writing thing.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think, Cassie? Do you think that the same thing, that there should have been more storyboarding classes, or what?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think there should have been more like classes that incorporated like practical storyboarding, if that makes sense. Like actually, I mean, I know you could work on a student film with somebody and actually do storyboarding for animation, but like, yeah, there's this like separation between the storyboarding classes and then the actual what it would become. So I feel like there was never that bridge for me that connected the two because there were only those two classes. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's really divided even among the professors. I think there were really just two that focused on storyboarding, other than everybody who has to teach it for one portion of Intro to Sequential Art. But yeah, I feel like we would either do stuff with Godo or Phillips for drawing for storyboarding. I only took, well, we all took the advanced storyboarding class as an elective. Part of me wishes I would have done principles for screen design for an animation class, but didn't have any other slots in. If you guys could have taken any more of the storyboarding classes that they had, which ones would you have taken?
I took all of them. I would have taken, I would have maybe done like the scripting, like the writing part. The reason I didn't choose it was because of my community college. I had taken a creative writing class that involved scripting and it didn't transfer to SCAD. So I was like, it doesn't matter. I've already like taken it for my own personal gain. And I didn't want to stay later just for that class. But I would probably, if I could stay and take some more classes, I'd take more action analysis because I really feel like the gesture drawing and that the principles of animation are what I really need to work on with my abilities.
Yeah, would you talk more about the action analysis class? That was something that I never got to take, but I've heard that it's helped so many people with just drawing in general. Oops, I have the music playing. Never mind.
Okay. Some kind of music playing. It's good. But I would definitely recommend it for anyone who wants to get better at drawing. I think depending on the professor, the workload can change like drastically, but overall you're going to be drawing a lot. And that's really just what helps you benefit from it. It breaks down gestures, starting with like the stick figure and 5-second drawings, and then building up from there. And uh, capturing movement. And again, like there's not a lot of the principles of animation other than just looking and like being consistent with whatever you're drawing. But yeah, we focus mainly on the human anatomy and proportions. So if you want to do animals or like exaggerated, I think at the end we got a bit more exaggerated, but it's pretty like realistic and standard. So it was really helpful though. Like if I had done that my freshman year, I feel like I would have benefited a lot more from life drawing, but I don't regret taking it my senior year. It was still like really helpful, and I think it's a really good class to take.
Yeah. It's kind of like speed sketching, which is, I guess, like the sequential comic version under the sequential major more, which I took, which dealt with like, drawing a lot quickly and like drawing, I don't know, we would draw like 100 or more figures in between classes. And it was so much work, but it was so helpful doing, focusing on just drawing the same thing over and over and over again. It really does make you better.
Yeah.
I'm amazed at how many people in our department did not like to draw, and I'm just like, what kind of a life have you chosen for yourself? Because that's all you're gonna do. I mean, that's what comics is, but storyboarding more so. I just think about how much stuff you put together, but then has to get scrapped and revised, and drives me crazy.
Yeah, the scrapping part of storyboards, I think, is something that kind of like drew me away from it recently, because you have to be like very not precious with the things that you draw, which is hard. But yeah, it's nice being able to hold my comics somewhat dearly and be like, I created this. Nobody can touch it but me. It's probably unrealistic to think that way.
I know what you mean, though. That's why it's nice to have a webcomic when it's your own project and you're not having anybody telling you what to do. And then you can get it done faster, which is my thing. It's not so much, I don't want feedback because I don't want my feelings hurt. It's like, I don't want feedback because I don't want to have to go back and do it. So I am too impatient for that stuff. I'm like, no, get it done. Which is also why I don't think I was suited as much for storyboarding, is because you really could just have everything put together and it was how you liked it, but if other people disagree with you, then you're out of luck because you gotta redo stuff. Ugh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let me see. There was something else I was going to ask about storyboarding. Or maybe there wasn't. I don't know. Did you do any storyboarding stuff before you got to school at all, or comics? Was that part of high school or any of elementary school? Did you ever doodle comics or anything like that?
Yeah. I did some very like embarrassing comics about like stories I would write that were like not good at all. But they were really loose and not thought out at all. It's kind of like stream of consciousness storytelling. And I remember for like my portfolio for SCAD, I was like, I'm applying for the sequential art major, but I have no sequential art in my portfolio. So I like made a sort of sequential piece to put in there. Yeah, but I didn't do any storyboarding before school.
I didn't do any storyboarding. I definitely did comics though, and I always thought it was like really funny because I would draw constantly in class all the time. And I did well in school, so I never really had teachers telling me to stop drawing in class, but like literally like all I did was draw. And I would do comics that were not scripted or anything. And most of the time I really drew from shows or games that I was playing at the time. And I would be like, I really like this part of the story, so I'm just going to make my own characters and have the same thing happen. And that's pretty much how my comics would go. Yeah, and they were embarrassing. But like people would be like, wow, Eva, you're so good at drawing. Are you going to become a mangaka, or are you going to go become like a comic artist? And I'd be like, no, that's dumb. Like, I'm not going to become a comic artist. And then it's like I go to school and all I'm doing is drawing comics. It's like, okay. So I don't like have a thing against comics, but I just think it's ironic that I wasn't really like thinking I was gonna do comics ever past high school or just for fun. And then I was learning to do it as a career. So
yeah, I definitely wanted to be an animator all the way because I thought I'd have more control of like the character design and the story and all of that. I thought I'd be drawing so much more, but then when I found out that animation could, like I said earlier, just be working on one little portion of it the whole time, or that it could be modeling something forever on Maya. I did one project in Maya and it was a disaster. I took it off YouTube. I was so embarrassed. We worked so hard. Yeah, it was the Adventure Time thing. It's got
I loved it.
It took weeks and weeks of shout out to Sarah Wasabor if you're watching and you remember our Adventure Time animation, but it had Princess Rainicorn floating down and Finn's just this little blob at the bottom and he lifts up his arm to wave and that was it, and it took weeks. And so slow. So maybe that's the other thing. I'm too impatient for that, and you could have a whole quarter's worth of work and it could be a couple seconds. And I mean, a whole quarter's worth of work with comics could only be 10 pages, but still, it's like, I felt like that was more satisfactory. I think we're all in agreement that we're okay that we didn't do animation. I feel like Intro to Sequential was super overwhelming, though, and we can talk about that sometime when we do, like, a SCAD series, but I was so petrified about doing comics, I didn't know, like, any terminology. I didn't know any comic creators other than, like, Dilbert. I knew Dilbert and I knew Garfield, and then I couldn't even remember who did those. Scott Adams, never mind for Dilbert. But, and then, like, Rumiko Takahashi for Inuyasha, because I read manga, too. And that was petrifying, that first day of Intro, where they hand you the pre-test, and it's just like, name 5 comic creators and the series that they did, and I'm just like, I am a failure. I am a phony. What am I doing here?
Oh my gosh. I remember people talking before class about Stan Lee and like how ridiculous he was. I was like, yeah, that Stan Lee guy.
You're like, Stan Lee who? Like.
And then, so I remember writing that down in the pretest. I was like, Stan Lee. I don't know who that is, but it's got to count for something, right?
All of our professors are watching this right now and are just mortified. We turned out okay, thanks to you if you're watching, but...
I don't remember taking the pre-test, but I remember being really stressed out about being with other comic artists.
Yeah.
And I left with a migraine that day. Like, I went home and died. But it was okay. It wasn't a horrible quarter, but that first day was just not a good... I think I just, like, had too much anxiety about it, and then it was fine. But I stressed out for sure. What year did you guys, like, did you take it, you didn't take it your first quarter, it was, like, at the end of the freshman year,
It was the end of freshman year for me.
Yeah, the last
I think
quarter.
we took it at the same time, didn't we?
We did, because we bonded over it.
Yeah, traded mini comics. I remember that. Oh my goodness. It was so hard, because I did like that the curriculum went over different assignments. You would do, some comics, you would do a comic strip, you had a storyboarding project. That was nice. But then the mini comic, didn't you? You didn't in your class? We had a storyboarding assignment.
No, I had a different professor, so it was different altogether.
We covered everything, so that was nice.
That would have been nice. I would have enjoyed that better.
Oh no, my sister, she doesn't know where the stream is. Check my YouTube channel. We have
Facebook, Twitter.
Another video. It's been so confusing. Thank you, everybody who's watching right now. Oh well, at least everybody can watch it on YouTube tomorrow and skip to 10 minutes in when I stop panicking. But we covered like all the bases for the different ways that you can use sequential art. It was pretty thorough, but it was pretty intense. I did not know why certain panels would be certain shapes. I had no idea what the gutters were. Why are some of them thicker? Why are some of them thinner? What are word balloons? What is everything? And I remember panicking, like asking my roommates, I was like, how do you know? What are you supposed to do? And they're just like, oh, you just do it. You just gotta portray your emotion through it. I'm like, I don't know what that means. I'm just gonna like, I don't know, find something that has already been done and then been like, oh, okay, well, if that worked for them, I'll do the same thing. Like,
oh man.
But there are good things about comics. Maybe not the comics curriculum, but no, it was the best. It was just really hard. But we'll talk about that another time. So with storyboarding and comics, what do you guys like the best about comics and the least? And then what do you like the best about storyboarding and the least about storyboarding?
You want to start, Eva?
Oh, okay. I was like, Cassie. You gotta address who you want to answer first, Lisa.
Oh, my bad. Just jump in. Fight. Let them fight.
Who do you like better?
Oh,
yeah.
Well.
You get to pick now.
Now, ladies.
Okay. I'll go because I can always go first. If anyone was ever in my class, you know I go first. Anyway, so I would say the best part about was comics first, right? The best part about comics is just, I think, the design that comes with the panel layouts, but then also the storytelling. So you could really, I think, have more flexibility with how you're going to tell the story. Like, I really like how you can do more time skips or jumps between things, or you can slow down time and do like moment-to-moment shots all on like the same story to just cover time. Whereas with the storyboard, especially if it's for like animated film, it's gonna, you don't want to jump around that much. It'll get really confusing. And there's a way you can, make things short and clear and sweet, but it takes more intention, I think, than it does with the comics. You just, make it because you can and you like it that way. Whereas it has to be, overall, they have to be clear, but I just feel like you can have more artsy, fun design funness with comics. And the least thing I like about comics is spending the time doing all the things I don't want to do so it looks good, like lettering and like inking and coloring. I like coloring, but I don't like coloring at the end, which is like, I'm exhausted. I'm like, I like coloring, but this is like too much. I wish someone else had inked this because then I would have just enjoyed coloring it. So that's my main thing for comics. My favorite part about storyboarding is really the end product, how you quickly have this turnover time and you have like a little mini movie drawn out, but it's not animated. So it's like you can see it like in its potential form and you can imagine what it will become and it's like there, but you're not super duper attached to it. So it's okay if you have to like scrap it and redesign it. I don't care for like, it's hard for me to say what I don't like about storyboarding. Like what I don't like about it is how tedious you have to be sometimes with like making sure the characters are consistent and making sure you're just the right amount loose, but just the right amount clear, not too heavy-handed, but not too scrappy looking. And that's the part that I don't care for. The part that I think comes easy to a lot of, especially 2D animated artists, is it just is like, oh, I know how to draw this because I have to draw 50 of them, So that part I definitely like don't like when I feel like I have to draw this guy taking a step forward now. And now he's taking another step forward.
Yeah, when it's moment-to-moment motion, that just drives me crazy. Some people put in so many frames that it does look animated. Like, I remember when we looked at the Kung Fu Panda storyboards, and it might as well have been a movie by itself.
Yeah, those are awesome. But yeah, so Cassie.
Let's see. Yeah, I second all that you've said. My favorite part about comics is, even though I'm not necessarily super creative with panel layouts or anything, it's like you have this opportunity to be, and you can use like a longer panel to give it a moment more time, or like lots of short panels and make things happen really quick. It's like you have all this control, and yeah, I love being able to have control over the characters and all the elements going into it. Yeah, it's like you have to know how to draw so much to do that. Like, you can't really fake it as easily as you can in the storyboard, I think. But it's fun. And there's also so much opportunity for styling, which there isn't really in storyboarding necessarily. I don't know. It seems like comics can be a bottomless well of storytelling, whereas storyboard is designed for one thing, so it has limits in that way, I guess. My least favorite part of comics is inking, because it feels like I've done all the work already. I don't know why I'm doing it again.
I really like that. That sums it up. That really does. Wow. That's exactly how I feel.
I like coloring. I think that's fun. Color flatting, very cathartic. But then like adding the highlights and stuff and making things pop is really exciting. And then being able to like turn layers on and off, because I work digitally when I do colors. And if you like, oh wow, look at what a difference it looks like when I put the shadows on, that's so satisfying. But yeah, maybe least favorite part, it seems maybe contradictory, but it's like you have too much control. So there's like, you can get really nitpicky with it, or really like, I don't know, just get too precious with it. But my favorite part about storyboarding is the problem-solving aspect, because I love puzzles and stuff, and with storyboarding, it's like you're trying to find the best way to tell the story, and that's like the sole purpose of storyboards, which I think is really cool. And even though you end up throwing away a bunch of them that you worked on, it's like seeing the final product at the end is, I don't know, that's pretty cool. Thinking about like, I can't remember his name, Ed Catmull, the founder of Pixar. He said that like one of their like mottos or whatever at Pixar is like all the movies suck at the beginning. Like at the beginning of the process, it's just junk. But then, you work on it and you work together and you get new ideas and stuff, and then it turns into something really great and memorable. And I think storyboarding lends a really big hand in that, and it really helps to like finesse the story and make it more emotionally impacting and stuff. I don't know.
I think with storyboarding, it's much easier to change things based on people's feedback too, because if it's something that took less time, it's probably not as precious to you, then you can just redo something. Where with comics, I know that that's my huge thing, like I said earlier, is like, I don't want to redo this again, leave it alone. I was bad with that in college too, with critiques, when they'd be like, you should do this, you should do that, and then I'd write things down and I'd be like, yep, thanks, but I'm not going to do that. And I think my stuff suffered for it. People had good suggestions. There were just definitely times where I'm like, this is not what I want to do right now. Or times where I'm just like, you're wrong. You're wrong. Whatever.
It's true. Well, sometimes people are like, one person tells you, hey, I really like that cat shadow you have behind your main character. And the next person is like, I really hate that, it's distracting, get rid of it. So you do have to use your own judgment.
Oh, yeah. Eva, I think your thing froze. Oh, no. Now it's back. Never mind.
Huh? I disappeared.
You were frozen for a sec, but now you're good. Never mind.
I think I was just holding really still.
Oh, well. What were you saying?
I'm alive. I'm dancing. So, yeah. What you guys said.
So now the question everybody always wants to know, is it hard to get a job? Will SCAD get me a job? No. But between the two, with storyboarding and comics, I guess we can only really talk from our experiences and the people that we know, but what do you guys know about the job markets for each? Is it easier to get into one versus the other, do you think? which of them have you done more work in yourselves?
Wow. Who are you talking to?
Oh. I don't know. Cassie.
All right. Well, let's see. I haven't really done any professional storyboarding yet. So we're seeing how that's panning out so far. So, in my experience, comics has been easier to step into. But I was also really fortunate to have an internship right after graduating with Periscope Studio, which was so awesome, and it provided me with so much knowledge that I didn't have graduating from school, like on the professional side of comics, and also gave me contacts for getting jobs and kind of getting my foot in the door and getting started. And so things like snowballed a little bit from there, and yeah. So I find myself making comics most often, though that's probably not where the money is. Don't do comics to get rich, kids, because it won't happen.
Right.
Well, maybe, but probably not.
Good to know. Good.
Go, Eva.
Yeah, I like storyboarding, but I haven't had a job in storyboarding yet. I've done a lot of senior films, but mostly layouts. And then my senior year, I did quite a few storyboards for seniors, and that was really fun. And but the people that I did storyboards were not necessarily artists that drew. That's why they needed someone to draw their storyboards. So really, they just needed a kind of a plan so that they could see what they were going to animate. Usually their specialty in animation was like lighting or texturing. So they just really needed a basis to show people what they had envisioned. And I was able to provide that for them. But right now, getting a job in storyboard for animation, you really do have to move, I think, and you really have to have what they're looking for. And I don't think that SCAD or the classes that I took really prepared me in the class itself. I feel like I've had to do a ton of work on my own, which is great because I think that's what it means to really like try for something. But yeah, I would say comics. I've been doing comics on my own and doing like, collaborative stuff with the anthology. I did some illustrations, but a lot of people did comics for that too. So I feel like there's more comic opportunity for like short-term little work. Everybody wants their story, drawn or illustrated. And then the trick is really just finding someone who has money to put down on those things. So, yeah, you don't really see that many people that are able to put together a whole production line for just storyboarding. With storyboarding jobs, I think you can get them if you're more animation based because they'll ask you to animate it too. So if you have like the repertoire of all of animation and you can do the production start to finish on your own, you're more likely to be hired for freelance than you are if you're just a storyboard artist that only knows how to storyboard and doesn't know how to animate in Flash. So, yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, why that would be a reason why it's easier to break into comics than it is storyboarding, but probably because there are more people who will do personal projects for comics out of pocket. And you're not going to find a lot of people who have a full, grandiose, animated thing that they're doing that they're going to be like, yeah, and you can be my storyboard artist. It's usually, like, companies, at least in my experience, or it's going to be a project that's such a big scale that, no, it basically is a company, no matter how you slice it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's been my experience with comics, is working with independent creators. There are so many people, like so many writers, especially who are looking for artists, and there are plenty of them who don't just want you to work for experience. Don't give up hope, people. Turn those things down. It's not worth your time. It takes way too much. You shouldn't work this hard to be this poor. So, like, but really, there are plenty of people out there who they do have a budget. It might not be, what you had in your starry eyes, but I've worked with some people who we had everything I don't know where I was going with that. I lost my train of thought. I thought about starry eyes, and I was like, twinkle, twinkle. I wanted to do like this little anime eye effect. But yeah, basically like not being afraid to work with independent creators and thinking that, oh, just because it's a no-name person, it's not going to be a good deal. I mean, you don't know what kind of talent is out there, and sometimes it's better just to start with somebody that you can work more closely with one-on-one, and they won't be as busy with other projects or anything. If this is like their passion project, you know, you can work together to do that, and I think they'll be more willing to pay you. I guess there's no nice way to phrase that, but yeah, like there are plenty of people, like they do Kickstarters and stuff for projects, and they don't even have artists yet, so there is always a need for people to do pretty pictures. I'm sure that one sounded good. My parents are watching this, and they're just like, we sent you to comic school for 4 years so you can draw pretty pictures, all right.
It was worth it.
Comic school. That'll just be like the next section. I'll just be like, comic school, comics afterlife.
Comics afterlife.
Yes. So we've all done the convention scene. Finally, I've joined you. I've gone to my first 2 conventions this past year. I went to Rose City Comic Con and then a local one in Iowa, and both of them were great. So, everybody knows that there are comic conventions for comics, but what really is there for storyboarding? I know that there's this magical thing that you just went to, Eva, called CTN. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah! CTN is this really cool convention that takes place in the hub of animation companies in Burbank, Los Angeles. And it's really fun because you get a lot of people from all over the world, mostly the United States, but there are some people international that are there. And they're looking purely at your talent, and they're giving you feedback. And sometimes you'll end up with a job, but I don't recommend going in there thinking you're going to get a job. I think you should go into it definitely looking for feedback from professionals. So in college, we get a lot of feedback from our peers and from professors. And SCAD particularly really tries to keep their professors up to date. They're all like working in the industry or were recently from the industry. So their opinion is very relevant. But I think the opinion of people that are in it at the moment is, you know, really valuable. And so you can go there. They'll have workshops and panels. There's tables. So you can meet artists that are working in the industry that are like just there tabling. And you can meet artists that are there with the company that they're representing. So every year it changes, though. There are some like constant companies that are there every year. And then there's some that show up one year and then they don't show up the next year, or they take interviews or they don't. So it's a really good experience for feedback in anything in the animation industry, which includes visual development, which is like illustration. Not quite, but if you are interested in like illustrating for an animated film, then yeah, you'd want to do viz dev. And then there's a lot of animators there. And yeah, it's cool because especially after you go to college, you meet a lot of, you know, your classmates and stuff. But then once you see how many people are in the United States looking for the same job as you, it really puts things into perspective. So yeah, but again, it's like the connections and networking you make, getting to know the people from different areas, or the people that just moved to LA, or the people that have lived there for a really long time. The people who are working at certain companies, you can all ask them, like you get that time to speak to them face to face. And for people like me who is like really extroverted, that really helps because I don't like talking online. Sending an email to someone I don't know really like is intense for me. And then going to CTN and walking up to a stranger that has a name badge of someone I've heard about, I'm like, yeah, we can talk. This is great. But if it's like sending again an email to that same person, it would be like so intimidating for me. So it really gives me an opportunity to like connect in a different way. Whereas I feel like there is the opposite with a lot of artists, where going to meet someone face to face is really daunting. But I think it's a really valuable step in getting a job in the animation industry. Because most of the people that get hired are people they know. So it helps to know them.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think there's so much to be said about the idea that it's who you know and it's how much you broadcast yourself out there. And I get frustrated when I see, classmates of ours, they just get really cranky and discouraged and they talk about how, nothing's coming their way and nobody is looking at their stuff and nobody knows who they are. And I'm just like, okay, but you need to post stuff and you need to engage with people. And I mean, I try to do it, but I don't do it enough, because I don't have as many followers as some people I know. And it's just like, you can get really hung up about it, but the only thing that you can do is make yourself more available. So it's good to go to these things. I was so surprised at, what a great networking opportunity a convention would be. I hadn't been to one before, and I just thought it'd be people, thumbing through your merchandise and not talking to you and being antisocial, because sometimes it's too intense. It's too intense to, go over to somebody's table of stuff to sell and then talk to them and not buy anything. And it's just like, I don't even want to look at you right now. But there are so many friendly people, and I was impressed that I had that whole stack of business cards the first day and they were gone, which was awesome. Had to replenish them. Now I want to redo my business cards, though, because the stuff on the back is so out of date.
I know. Yeah.
They always tell you to buy these things in bulk because it'll be cheaper, but then you have so many extra business cards, except for Moo, because I go through those so fast because they're so expensive.
Yeah. It's like $1 per card.
Just about. They're great quality, and I like them a lot.
Yeah,
but,
those are so nice.
Yep. I don't know. I really like just talking about business cards. I like spending time on them, and then my favorite part, though, is when you have a quality business card, to see people get excited over your business card and be like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, and then you're like, good, because I paid a lot for that. Your reaction is exactly what made it worth it. And it's whether or not they remember me is a different question, but at least they got excited.
You did spot gloss on your business cards, didn't
that
you?
looked so nice.
It looked so nice.
Thank you. You made it worth it. So yeah, because my business cards were way more expensive than Moo's, and they were really cool. I went through a We the Printer, and they did really well. I felt like their website layout made the most sense. Websites like Overnight Print and stuff really freak me out, or Vistaprint. I feel like there's too much option and all of these small text that I'm just like, oh gosh, I don't know what this looks like. What is it going to look like? And We the Printers has a very graphic, clean, clear website with lots of examples, and they send you a sample pack that explains exactly what it is that they put on the sample, what they are. And so I really liked that part. But again, sometimes it's worth the investment, sometimes it's it's worth just doing a few or doing a ton and then just dishing them out to everybody and their grandma, whatever. Doesn't hurt.
Yeah, but whichever, it is important to have a business card, because it's so frustrating if you meet somebody that you really like their stuff and you would love to buy their things and go to their website and everything. You're basically throwing yourself at their feet and they're like, duh, I don't have anything. And they don't even have a pen to scribble it down on a napkin or anything. And you're like, oh. Or to be that person, I've been on that side of it too, out somewhere where I finally don't have something on me. And I'm like, wow, it would have been really good. This was a really important person to meet, and I don't have anything. And then I have, the impossible last name to spell, so I'm just like, let me write it down. Whatever.
Don't even try.
Oh, dear. Oh, cool. This lasted an hour. We did it. Yay.
We did it.
Oh, wait. I remember, though, the bonus material at the end of this. I'm going to show everybody the reveal of where the butt from the thumbnail picture came from.
Yay!
Because you guys have been so curious. It was from a storyboard set that Eva did. Let me bring it up.
Oh my God.
Do you want to tell us about these storyboards, Eva?
Yeah, I can tell you about the kilted cop.
The kilted cop.
Problem. That's the title of the story. And it was inspired by the Savannah St. Patrick's Parade, my first year at SCAD. I never had seen so much St. Patrick's joy in my life. Like, I remember the year before going to SCAD, I put a sticker on my cheek back home in California, and I felt really self-conscious because I had a shamrock sticker on my cheek. And I was like, I'm being too celebratory of this event, and people are going to judge me and condemn me for liking shamrock stickers. And so anyway, then I came to Savannah and realized that there was a 4-hour parade. And so, yeah, it was really cool to watch. And there were a lot of kilted men. And at one point we saw like a group of kilted policemen, and I just was with my friend Sarah, and I made some sort of remark about how, you know, could you imagine him, like his skirt like flying up? And yeah, so I decided to do a storyboard sequence about it for that spring break. I was applying for, I think, like some sort of storyboard internship. And so, yeah, I did that, and it was really horrible. But I really liked the idea. So I did it again later, my senior year. I cleaned it up for my senior project and made a decent story about it. And yeah.
You liked the idea. You liked the idea of the butt.
Yeah, a lot of people like that kind of stuff. I'm not really like crude humor person, but you'd be surprised how many people want to see old men.
Some people are into that, huh?
Yeah. I think I've gotten the most like reaction out of that storyboard too. So I feel like part of me can be really like reserved and just reserved in general. So I think doing projects where I kind of let loose like this surprises people and is slightly more entertaining.
I like it.
I need more butts.
more butts in your storyboards, Eva.
Definitely.
Yep.
More butts.
Going across your windshield there.
Oh my gosh. Good. Well, the mystery has been solved, folks. You now know where the infamous butt came from. Oh, shoot.
Yep.
Not switching my screens right. Okay. Anyway, I think that concludes everything tonight. Thank you to everybody who stuck around through this. Apologies once again that I did not know how the event section worked on YouTube. I will figure that out for next time, or I will keep doing it this really sloppy way. Who knows? I don't know.
Okay.
So
do you think we would ever do a question answer section, Lisa?
Oh, that's right, because we do have a chat.
Yeah.
Let me see if anybody's still here. Yeah, okay, so if anybody's still here and has questions, we can do some question and answer time.
We don't have to do it for super long. I know, what is it? Yo-chan said, is it worth it? Particularly the price tag. So I guess they're talking about college.
Oh, college in general is going to be expensive no matter what in the States, which is bad. But if you are going to go to an art school, though, you might as well go to one that's going to have, like, the connections that you need in order to get the job that you want. And SCAD really facilitates that. They're great with having guests visit the school, so that's probably the biggest thing about SCAD is, I mean, the quality of the classes is amazing, but I think what sets it apart really is that there are the companies that you would like to work for. They come visit each year, sometimes twice, so it's great to go to SCAD, but there are a lot of people who say don't need to go to art school to do what you do, and that's true if you're really self-motivated. I know I don't think I would have been able to self-teach myself with that kind of rigorous scheduling and anything. I know I wouldn't be able to, so I needed somebody to crack the whip on me. So that was good. So take your pick between whether or not you would like to go to school or not. But if you are going to go to school, make sure that it's a good one. And unfortunately, it's probably going to be expensive. So go all out and die. Whoa. I don't know.
Yeah. Especially if you like know what you want to do. Like, I knew for sure that I wanted to do some storytelling and drawing, so, like, it made sense investing in a school that would direct me towards a career that way. Like, if you know what you want out of a school, then, yeah, like, it's expensive, but I don't regret it at all.
Yeah. I think, overall, I remember when I was doing my SCAD vlogs, a lot of people, like, that was a big question. And I think really when it comes down to college in general, it's the price, like, it's up to you. You're making the choice to go to college and to go to what college that you get accepted in. Like, you make that choice. So really it's on you to make it worth it. The college, if you choose a good college, is going to give you opportunity, but you have to go out there and take advantage of the opportunity. And, you know, there's plenty of people that go to great colleges and they don't do anything with it. So it's really on you to make it worth it. And I think, yes, my college career, like, was totally worth it. And I think my career choice will be worth it in the end too, because that's just the kind of person I am and how I choose to use my time and how I'm motivated and driven. I think, again, like with what Cassie and Lisa said, like, knowing what you're going to do and go for it is different. There's a lot of people that don't know. And when you're unsure, I think taking the time and figuring out what you want to do is the most valuable moment, worth, like, spending time on, better than going to college and running around everywhere and doing everything, which is fine. But yeah, if you want to make sure it's worth it, then know what you're going to do and be direct with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And if you guys ever want to send any of us your work, like, do it, man. I just realized all of the links to everything are in that other video, and they're not here right now. That will be fixed some other time. Oops. But yeah, we are on Tumblr, Facebook, wherever. Doggone it, I should get those little cards that float around on YouTube. But yeah, if you ever have any questions for us, you can always message us on Tumblr and link us to your stuff. And if you ever need critique, well, I'm assuming, I mean, I'd like to. Sorry, I'm offering you guys, but...
No, yeah, totally. I'd be up for it.
Yeah, I'm up for a critique. I'm sorry if I don't get back to you right away, but I'll try my best.
Same.
Oh, good. We have another question.
Yeah.
From Rob. I love animation. You know that. I just don't want to be the one to do it. It's beautiful, but doggone it. If I had to be the person to animate somebody's hair for the rest of my life, no way. I want to draw dudes with ponytails crying for the rest of my life. That's what I've chosen for myself. So
dudes with ponytails.
Majestic.
Totally. Alrighty. Well, I think that's a wrap. Good job, folks. We will have it together next time. But it wasn't so bad for a first shot. At least it did end up happening. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I would have felt so embarrassed if it just started recording on Picardo instead. Be like, why can't I see what I'm doing? And everybody's just like, why aren't you drawing anything, Lisa? Okay, well, thanks for coming, folks, and thank you, Cassie and Eva, for sitting through this whole thing and being so awesome and filling us with your wonderful sequential wisdom.
Thank you, Lisa. It was fun. I hope to do this again sometime.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to do a series on SCAD, so if you guys have any questions, maybe I can set up like a form spring or something beforehand where I can write down those questions and then we can ask them, or we can do a Q&A session at the end. But yeah, we can talk about what the classes were like at SCAD. We won't talk about the money because that's sad. Sad math. We won't be doing sad math. We can answer any questions you have about what career services is like. We'll have a lot to say about that, won't we, Cassie?
Oh, yes.
My favorite.
And then we can talk about what the dorms are like. I don't know. Whatever you guys want to know. We'll dig up the dirt. But anyway, thanks for joining us, and I will talk to you guys later. I'm going to click that stop streaming button right now.